Yes, well, if you could say it properly, I'd answer.
I can't. I can say good day, and I can say, what is it? How's it do this Sabo?
Yeah,
it's really bad.
You need to work on your Australian.
Yeah, I didn't really try hard. That's it.
Give us some Australian. I want to see you speak. Simon, give us something.
Australian is, you've got to say, in the UK, they have rhyming slang, right? Shabnam,
Yeah.
You're like on the dog and bone, like I got to get you on the dog and bone, or
Ruby Murray for a curry.
Yeah, exactly, all that sort of stuff. So, and we don't. Yeah, we always say, "Oh, that's the duck's guts." That's amazing, right? That's the duck's guts or the dog's bollocks. Well, that's English. The dog's bollocks.
We say the dog's bollocks. Yeah.
Yeah. Or we'd say Doug's as bald as a badger. Fat as an ox, right?
You guys sound like a bunch of drunk.
Yeah.
People lost in the wilderness, and they just make up this stuff. And I'm just kidding.
Doug, have you put on weight in the last couple of weeks?
Oh, mean.
Yes.
Have you put on weight? Really? Have you? How fat are you, Doug? Are you fat? Because we've never met. Are you fat? Seriously, stand up. No, stand up. We want to see. Are you 300 pounds or what? 350?
No, I'm about 217 pounds.
217.
Well, yeah, most of it's in my guns.
No. Okay.
How tall are you? That's the question.
He's like 3 foot. That's why
I'm 5'7". How tall are you, Simon? 4'2"?
No, you're 3.5 feet. That's why you're 270 pounds. Right?
This is like your weekly catch up to really sort of dig into.
Shabnam, we've actually never met. We insult each other every week, and we've never met.
No, you say that again. You've insulted each other every week.
No, Doug and I talk every week.
I know, yeah, but this is the first time we've met. That is.
But we've physically never met face to face. So.
No, that's going to be a bit weird.
We might do it this summer. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm going to come to Chicago.
I find it's always really weird once you've had a relationship with somebody, like not a relationship, but when you meet somebody online and then you meet them for real. And I found that most of the people that I've met in real life are always so much shorter than I thought. For some reason.
Doug's probably a dwarf. He's probably a dwarf.
He's only 3 foot tall.
He's 3 foot tall.
He's actually standing up right now.
Exactly, yeah. You can sit down now, Doug. It's all good. You could compete in the Olympics, like the deaf midget category. That's going to be very tiny. You'll win.
It's called the Paralympics, Simon.
Powerlifting.
I will beat them all.
Oh, you would.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, you go ahead, Doug.
Let's introduce our guest. So, welcome. This is somebody I've been following for probably going back 8 months, right? Right in the middle of the pandemic. I think we started talking over summer. No, when was it? It's got to be 6, 7, 8 months ago.
It can't be that long, but yeah, about 7. Not because I haven't even been on LinkedIn as in properly for that long. So yeah, not longer than 7 months or so.
Okay. Well, we first started talking. You hopped on my song challenge, and you enjoyed what I was doing, and then you disappeared for a little bit because of a family crisis, and then you came back. You came back with the budget. I mean, some of your videos that you're putting out are really hardcore. I mean, they're really well done. I mean, they're really amazing. So for our audience, what's your name? What do you do? What do you offer?
It's like I feel like I need to sing now or something. It's like, what's your name? What do you do? Yeah, my name is Shabnam, which people for some reason, especially the Brits, find very difficult to pronounce, even though it's 2 syllables. Name is Shabnam, and
I actually had to look it up because I can't hear, so I have to go to Google and say, how do you pronounce? I don't even want to try, not because it's difficult.
Oh, now you've got to try it.
Very powerful sounding words together. Shabnam.
That's better. That's better than most people. That's not bad. But it's not an English name, is it? So there's no proper way for an English-speaking person to pronounce it. But that's pretty good. The Americans always pronounce it better than the Brits do. The Brits are just terrible, and they always want to call me Shabs, which I bloody hate. So don't ever call me that, because I said I'm blocking you straight away. But yeah, my name's Shabnam, and what I do is I help people with their subconscious mind in terms of behaviors and habits that they might have that are stopping them from doing what they want to do, and it tends to be mainly business owners and entrepreneurs. That's my ideal client, my niche that I work with, and that's basically what I do. I started playing around with the idea. People started calling me a witch online, so I've started to say things like, I use magic and do stuff like that, but really it's all science. But it seems to work. The marketing works.
What did you do in your past life before you started doing that?
In my past life, many jobs, but the main longest career I had was in business transformation. So I started off as a data analyst. I didn't even know what a data analyst was when I got the job, but I was like, oh, right, I can do that. So I applied for it, got the job. And then I sort of made different sort of career choices based on how much they were paying. This was back when I was very young. I was like, oh, they pay well. How do you do that? So in those days, no internet. It's like, how can I figure out how to do this? Applied for jobs, and I ended up in project management. That's basically been, sort of glorified project management business that I had a consultancy in business transformation, and so there was lots of project managers and program managers and change managers and coaching leadership clients. So I went into the coaching from there. So I spent about 15 years of my life doing that, which is completely different from what I do now, but not really, because it's still transformation, but now it's people, where it always was really people that I was interested in. Like I found like spreadsheets and project plans and all that, talking about the IT stuff, and oh god, it was so fucking boring. But I was good at the people side, and it just sort of, I don't know, it took me a bloody long time to get to the point of how I ended up thinking, oh, and I don't want to do this, I want to do this now. And I sort of ended up in therapy, doing therapy work first, and I didn't enjoy that, and then I went into doing what I do now.
And how would you describe what you're doing now? I mean, I know most of your fans have fun with it. They call it like witchcraft, because you get amazing results. You get people 50, 60K in weeks after your program's over, or that promotion that they've always wanted. And so it sounds like magic. It sounds too good to be true. But there's a lot of science behind it. But what would you call the science of what you're doing?
So firstly, just to make it clear, because I've had people who've contacted me like, I really want to make the sort of money some of your clients are making. Nobody's ever come to me starting from zero. So it's not a case of like somebody's like, all right, I'm making nothing in my business. And I said, well, look, and I want you to help me like make the sort of money some of your clients are making. I said, look, the double of zero is still zero. Like, why, if you're not making money in your business, you need to start with some sort of strategy, and have you even got a product or service that sells? Like, I can't make your business work, I can help you work. So what I actually do is help people to figure out because it's like most people who are business owners and entrepreneurs have all these self-doubting sort of behaviors that come out as procrastination, not getting things done, or not seeing opportunities that are right in front of them, and because they don't feel that there's something that they could do. And it's all the self-doubt and it's all the niggly stuff that goes on. And what I do, using very scientific sort of techniques, which aren't so well known because of the myths around hypnosis. I use a lot of hypnosis in what I do. Not any particular type of hypnosis. I use conversational hypnosis. I do some stuff using like the therapy training that I've had, and it's all person-centered, about what's going on with a person, so that they can get over whatever sabotaging behaviors or beliefs that they're not necessarily aware of, because a lot of times we do shit and then we look back and think, oh, why did I do that? It doesn't even make sense, but I keep on doing this. It's helping them to uncover what is the driver behind their sabotaging behaviors, or not putting themselves forward for opportunities that they could. And even like, sort of Guy Hendricks talks about the upper limit, and people think that, you know, oh no, I've got an upper limit and I've got an income ceiling. How can I break that? And it's figuring out what that really is about. It's never really about money. Sometimes it is. I've had like one client whose story's been fascinating. Even I was like having a conversation with him on Wednesday, and I said to him, I said, you have to, when you do your video testimonial, you have to tell this story, because if I tell this story, nobody's going to believe it because it's so bloody out there. But it's just how our minds work. It's something that his brain latched onto, his mind latched onto when he was a child, that made him think that 35 grand is a great salary, and that is what you call so, you know, that was a secure place to be. And that's what, as a child, he thought, I'm going to become a banker, that's what I'm going to do. So even though he's doing really well, his kind of like mind would be, okay, you know, he'd do something, and then over the years he'd see that it would always average out to the same money and not go beyond. And he couldn't figure out why, and he was doing all the stuff. And it was just once he was able to sort of uncover that that was something that his conscious had latched onto as that's secure and that's what you need to stick to, he was, you know, sort of sabotaging himself in situations where he could actually make more money. And once that was out of the way, he just went and nailed it. You know, it wasn't even a thing anymore. So,
but Shabnam, give us the, because you've given us the teaser, you've got to give us a little bit of context for the client, right?
Yeah. All right. So so there were two things. Like one of them, this is that I actually posted a testimonial, well, not a testimonial, a screenshot of our conversation. His big thing was that he had a massive goal within his career that he wanted to achieve, and he's been in this for many years, but it just seemed very unachievable for him. And at the same time, he also had an income ceiling where he couldn't get beyond a certain number each month. He said that, not each month, he said a certain number overall over the year. Some months he'd go up, but the next month it would go really down again, and then it would go up, and they'd go really down again. And
what sort of business was it? Just give us a quick, you know, just
in the financial industry.
Okay, so he was selling financial services like mortgages or something like that?
Yeah, so something like that, which I didn't quite understand what he does and how he does it, to be honest.
Okay, so sort of commission based on a financial product?
Probably. I don't even know. I'm just curious. Right? Yeah, so he works in, so what's he called? I don't know, but somewhere where you can go from being a regional person to a VP. So so that was the goal. And so that was a 6-month goal. So at the beginning, I get everyone to fill out a form. What's the big fat goal that you want to achieve? What's the struggle that you're finding that you keep on coming against? What are the things that you think are the reason why? And then we sort of uncover it. And then by the 5th week, we did a couple of things. And one of the things that I do is, and don't have to do this with everyone, but it's kind of like a little bit of regression work just to find out where, you know, what's the reason? Why do you feel that you can't earn that kind of money? What's going on? And why is it, and he was feeling this sort of real resistance to going for the big position that he wanted. It's like, what's the resistance about? And it was uncovering the fact that he had resistance around having to go off and do something different from what he was doing because he felt it was being disloyal to the people that he had committed to previously. And that came from stuff that he had from his childhood, which won't go into because it was all personal stuff, but stuff from his childhood that he'd kind of held on to, that doing this and moving over there would be a bad thing. So he wasn't consciously aware of it because he really wanted to do it. So it's uncovering that for him. And the other thing around the money was this thing. And the memory that came up for him was being at school in career, in the career class. And it was a very uncertain time for him in his life, stuff going on. And there was a leaflet that he remembers seeing, and he actually told me exactly what the guy on the leaflet looked like. He said it was like, you know, a man standing there with a briefcase wearing a really smart suit. And at that time, you know, in his personal situation, in his family, things weren't going so well. And he said he looked at that and he was like, oh, and this guy was in the financial services, he was a banker. And he goes, oh, banking's a good job to go into. And it said that, you know, the salary that they make is 35 $100,000. And to a child looking at that, who's like, that's a lot of money. That's what I want to do when I grow up. And so later on in life, that's what he ended up going into, is in financial services. He left the bank, went all independent, started doing his whatever he does. But and he's been successful and he's done a lot of things, but he just found that this is what he's getting stuck with. And that's why he came to see me. And so once we uncovered that, and then we did some other, non-voodoo stuff, it was just on the 5th week, he sent me a really long email. And it was almost like he'd already forgotten that this was a big deal for him, that he wanted to do, get the VP and the income ceiling. And he's given me, it's like, oh yeah, I just found out yesterday that I'm VP now. And that, by the way, I also made this much this month. I'm like, you do realize that this is your 6-month goal? Because one of the things I was thinking is that, all right, it's a 6-month goal, so I probably won't get a great testimonial till 6 months later. So in the 5th week, he's come back and he said, this is what's happened. So that's when I sent him I read the message, I read the email, then I sent him a message on LinkedIn. And I was like, so are you telling me that you've just reached your 6-month goal in 5 weeks? And he goes, yeah. And I said, and you've read that income ceiling? He goes, yeah. I was like, bloody hell. And I was surprised, not because I didn't think he'd achieve it, but it was the time frame. So, and the fact that to him, all of a sudden it didn't seem like a big deal anymore. And that's what happens, is that the funny thing, both of us at one point whilst we were working together had neck aches, both. And this was just a freaky coincidence that we both had neck aches, like we'd not slept together. He's in America, but had a really bad neck ache. And I was reminding him, I said, do you remember that time when you had a neck ache and I had a neck ache? And he goes, yeah. And I said, but you sort of said, since it's gone, we don't remember the pain that we were in at the time. I said, because we couldn't both stop talking about the fact, bloody neck ache. But since it's gone, the absence of it isn't something that you think about. You don't think about, oh, I had a neck ache. And that's exactly what happens when you remove a belief or or some kind of pattern or behavior that was your everyday thing, and you've moved on and you're started to behave in a different way. You forget that used to even be a problem, and that can happen in such a short period of time. And people kind of, I did some of the stuff that I put out, people do question it, because it seems like it's like either I'm making it up, and that's why my last video is like, can this woman be trusted, or is she a witch? Is because it does seem like it's really unbelievable. But people seem to forget, it's like when you were a kid, didn't you, like most people believed in Santa Claus. Everyone believed in Santa Claus till one day you saw some fat dude with a fake beard, and that was it. You didn't have to go to therapy. You didn't have to have like someone hypnotize you to say Santa isn't real. It's just like you've seen it with your own eyes for a fact, this guy is not real. And then no matter what you see on TV after, or what anyone says to you, you're never going to believe in Santa again. That magic's gone. And it's exactly the same with any kind of belief that you have. But if you don't know what that belief is, what's actually driving you, because it's not conscious, then you can't really get rid of it. But once it's very conscious to you, it can go as quickly as, one session, and that's it. So yeah, whether you trust me or not, that's another thing.
But Shabnam, what would be the makeup of your clients in terms of how many are in the UK, how many are in Europe, how many in the US? Like, give us just a ballpark.
I've got, so lately, because of LinkedIn, I've got more clients in the US.
Yeah.
I've got, I haven't actually got any in the UK, but I've got one client in Romania, one client in Spain, one client in Poland, and the rest of them are all in the US in bloody different time zones, which makes it really hard.
But what about, so the guy that was in the financial services business,
yeah,
that you didn't sleep with, and you made it quite clear that you didn't sleep with him, but if you did, that's okay. Doug and I are very open-minded. Where's that guy? Is he in the US?
He's in the US, and hopefully by next week we'll have like a video from him. I'll give him a little nudge after this. Like, I've just talked about you publicly, so you have to back me up. Otherwise, I'm going to look like a liar.
See, I've got an observation with this, I think, and you can tell me if I'm barking up the wrong tree or not. Is that what you do is quite controversial, Okay. Controversial / unbelievable / snake oil charmer, witch doctor. And I think that the US culture responds better to that than the UK and Aussie culture. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is probably a reason why you don't have a UK or an Aussie client. Now, I'm not saying that you couldn't get them, because there's people that are receptive to your consulting everywhere. But would that be a fair assessment?
I would say that yes, probably that would be fair. But until this year, my activity on LinkedIn this year, I didn't have any US clients, and all of my clients were UK based. So, and because I was kind of marketing myself more as a hypnotherapist, I had a lot of clients who would come to me for hypnotherapy for specific reasons. It's just that I kind of changed it based on the fact that the majority of people I was seeing were people in the same circles as me online, like in entrepreneurial groups and Facebook and LinkedIn. And it just seemed to make more sense that the biggest problem that most of them are having were, you know, all the self-doubt that goes on. And it does seem like snake oil. And that's the thing that, and Doug and I had this conversation a while ago. We talked about how it really pisses me off as well, that you see some people who are promising the world and even doing type of therapy type work, but they're not therapists, helping people with stuff who, if you check to see what, you know, like they're in, and I'm not saying it's an age thing, but usually they're in their 20s, they literally just got out of a sales job or some other kind of job a year ago, and all of a sudden now they're making these claims to do stuff. And I do question that. So therefore I can also see that anyone who's watching my stuff and reads my stuff would say, is it for real? You know, is this all? Because there is a lot of bullshit out there. There's a lot of bullshit about being able to just help someone do this. And I'm really careful. And I had a client, well, not a client, I had a person who got on a call with me yesterday about asking to work with me. And I said to her that the whole point, the whole reason that my clients' results look so good is that I'm really selective with when it comes to who I will work with. Like there's certain criteria that I know that if this person, I can help them with the issue that they have, they're going to get really great results. And that's going to look really good for me because it will just do my marketing for me, because my clients' results will speak for themselves. And if you look at my testimonials, like the actual video ones, most of them are actually UK people, because I haven't got around to getting the Americans to do any videos for me. And it's about being really selective, not just by like who they are, what they do, but what their actual issue is and how willing they are to actually go kind of like deeper into certain things. Because some people, you know, they don't seem to have that understanding. So, you know, when we talk, like everybody talks about mindset these days online, everybody talks about different levels of personal development. But if somebody's just sort of starting out, has no understanding, is really sort of skeptical and a real cynic, then I have to convince them that this stuff actually works. I have to convince them. So that's another piece of work that needs to be done first. So it's much better and easier for me to work with somebody who's already sort of bought into it and knows that actually, there's something beyond what consciously goes on, and just talk therapy hasn't helped me. So maybe I need to go a bit deeper and find out what's going on subconsciously. And all right, hypnosis is a option. So maybe this is something that I can try. So if somebody's already at that level, it's easier for me to help them, because I've already got their buy-in before they've even had a chat with me. And then I tell them what I do, and it's like, oh yeah, no, that's exactly what I need help with, and that sounds like something that would be useful. So then I can get the results. It's not me doing the work. It's them being, firstly, the, you know, marketing terms, being the ideal client. Like they've got the right mindset, they've got the right motivation. So it's not a case of like, I just want to do this because, like, you know, my wife's nagging me, or like, you know, I've got to do this for this reason. They've got the motivation, and their reason for the change is not money. It's more to do with their feeling of what they're going to do with it, or how they're going to feel afterwards, and how it's going to change their life. All of those things come together, and then I can sort of, you know, very quickly figure out whether A, I like this person, and two, whether I can help them.
you brought up a great point, and I think this point that you brought up is the difference between Simon and I. You said the emphasis is not on the money. It's what you're going to do with the money or how you feel, what's surrounding it. You see, Simon, we both, as you know, did the 50K email thing, and I was hyper focused on how much money we were going to make. And he didn't care. He treated it like a game. It was very much about, going to play basketball with your friends and trying to figure out the correct strategy. He got just a high off of that, and I got high up of the catch itself. What would you say to that about these two different mindsets to the same sort of stimuli, as she said? Because I will tell you that Simon and I obviously are in two different income categories. And I think the way he thinks about money is actually the correct way. But for the life of me, I cannot say, oh, this is fine. Woo. No, this is making money. This is going towards the bank account and paying for XYZ for him. And all of his businesses, he treats it very much, from the time we've been together, it's very much a competitive thing for him, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, Simon. So why are you in business? Because I've never heard you, Simon, say, I want to be a millionaire. I've never heard you say that. I've heard you say, oh, I want to dominate the market, or I want to something. It's very competitive in nature. So correct me if I'm wrong before she answers the question.
I mean, it's not about the money for me. I mean, look, let's be candid. I'm 54, Shabnam, and I've had a good corporate life. And so, we've all made a lot of money and lost a lot of money. Okay. And it's not. And I think Doug worries about that. The question I was going to ask also Doug. So Doug, yes, to answer your question, it's not about the money for me. I have a duty of care to our staff to make sure that everyone gets paid. I like the fact that our small business is this little ecosystem that provides for people. But I'm not about, and I'm very lucky that I have a job that is also my hobby. I love cars. And so I get to play around with, toys every day. So it's not like saying, oh, I'd love to make Shabnam help me make enough money so I can buy a Porsche, right? Because I already ticked that box, because I get to do fun stuff all the time. Now, if I said to you, help me, go and hang out with supermodels, that's a much more interesting, goal for me to change my mindset, right? So, but I was also going to ask you this to reverse the question back to Doug, is that where are you on the mindset perspective with Shabnam's business to say, so for example, I will candidly say, Shabnam, it would take you a while to get my head around this, okay? Just because I'm an Aussie and I'm a bit cynical and,
You're an old fart.
Yeah, okay. Well, all right, you said it. You fat prick. So where would you be with that? What?
Let me be even more candid to answer your question. I'm actually trying to be a client of hers.
Oh, okay.
So, let's just put it out there. And she costs too bloody much. So, I've got to work on that.
As she should. So I would, if you were my client, I would charge you double, Doug, because you're a pain in the ass.
No, where am I on that? I have no idea why I'm more open to it than you are. Why not? My background, I come from very conservative parents, ultra religious, blue collar thinking. The harder you work, the more money you make, type of thing. Blah blah blah. And so I don't know why. I don't go out of my way to read books about. I've dabbled in it, but I don't fully invest into crystals and chakras and things like that. But with her, I mean, her marketing, as you just mentioned, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, you can't argue with results. So for me, it was more curiosity of, okay, so if I work with you, what are we going to be uncovering? What part of my childhood are we going to unlock? But one of the barriers to that was not only the money, but the method, which was she, I can't buddy here either. So she has to be able to do certain things to put me not on.
Oh, that's a lovely place to freeze the screen.
Doug's got a dodgy internet connection.
I don't know why.
You froze for a second there, Doug, and it wasn't a very attractive picture that it stopped at all. So I can't even remember what your original question was, but a couple of things that you both said. Like, firstly, I'm not into all the woo-woo, chakra, energy, spiritual, all that stuff. I'm 100% the most, like, if I was meeting my younger self from, like, even when I was in my 30s, and I told my younger self what I do now, she would be like, fuck off, like literally just fuck off. And that's because for me, I need to see evidence, and I've always been about the science and understanding. I do understand that people have very strong spiritual beliefs, and they believe, like, you can't explain everything, and maybe science is catching up with some of the stuff that people have been talking about for centuries and all that kind of stuff. But I've always just been very logical. And had I not experienced hypnosis myself, I would have never even considered it. And my route to doing what I do was simply because I used to, within my own consultancy, and part of the work that I did was the coaching within the corporate world. So this would be like the leadership teams, and we were doing productivity workshops and doing all the coaching. And I used to get so frustrated and pissed off, especially when I was doing the one-to-one work, when the same old shit kept on coming up. It's like, but we've already talked about this. Like, I wouldn't say this to them, but I would be like, what? He's already, like, what? This has got to be something deeper. But I just left it at that. I just thought I was a really shit coach at the point where I was really impatient. It's like, why can't they just be like me and just like fucking do it? Like, what's wrong with them? I was like, literally, like, this is what you want to do, just go fucking do it. I don't care, just do it. What's your problem? And I was really harsh like that, and I couldn't understand. Until I ended up with my own kind of like issues, like all of a sudden. And I've told a couple of people, like, how did you even get into hypnotherapy? In my sort of like mid-30s, all of a sudden I became extremely fearful of driving on high motorways and bridges. It had never been a problem before. I live in the Midlands. I don't know why. I don't know why it happened or what. All of a sudden, I was driving down to Cornwall, which is by the sea, from where I live with my son and our dog. And I was driving on a motorway, which I'd never been on before. And all of a sudden, I'm driving in the right-hand lane, which is apparently the fast lane. I was driving. And then I just noticed all of a sudden it had changed, like the whole landscape had changed. And I was up here. Then there was like the lane going that way was down there. And then I could see trees. And I was like, fuck, I'm really high. And I just literally had this physical,
like a panic attack.
My hands like clenched into, this had never happened before, because I'd previously been driving up and down London all through my, since my son was born, since I moved to the Midlands, on, really high motorways, buildings up there, no problem. But that day something happened and I got really scared. My legs went wobbly. I literally thought I was going to drive off the edge and I was going to kill everybody. And it was the most terrifying experience ever. And what that led to is, like, the week that I spent in Cornwall, I couldn't relax because I was just thinking about the journey back. And the journey back, luckily, was on the one bit lower on the way back. And it wasn't, and there was traffic, so I wasn't driving fast. It was still really horrific. Every time I came to a road which it seemed like it was going a bit higher, I was thinking, oh shit, what's going to happen? So when I came back, even the next day, like, next week or so, when I was driving to a client site, which I'd been to many times.
About you, done. There you go. You just froze, and you should have seen your face. It looked like you got electrocuted.
Am I freezing now? Oh no. Yeah. Well, that's not nice.
You're good. You're good. Keep going. So
you hear me?
Just wind back 20 seconds. Go one, 20 seconds. So you're driving along the motorway, you froze.
Yes. So long story short, it got to a point that I would just avoid driving. I would take 3 trains to get to where I needed to. And I tried to talk my partner's like, what's wrong with you? Just talk yourself out of it, just so, but I can't control the physical sensations. So I'm talking myself into like, oh no, I'm fine. I'm singing to myself, trying to do all the stuff, and nothing was working. And then someone said, why don't you go see a hypnotherapist? I was like, what for? That's just weird. Like, why would you go to a hypnotherapist? And then I started doing some research. I was like, oh, right, so they can help you with different things like, quit smoking. And I had no idea. I thought a hypnotherapist, and I know in America they're called hypnotists, is like they do like tricks on the stage and funny stuff. So I went to see someone, and in one session, I was over it. That was it. And he told me straight after, it's like, go and drive your car over, like there was a motorway near. They go drive there, come back, and go over the bridge, come back, and let me know. And I did it, and I was fine. And that was it. And then I was like, what kind of voodoo shit is this? I need to know how to do this. And then I ended up going back to him a couple of times because he was this lovely sort of like character from like a TV show, like, 3-piece suit, little cravat and everything. He was just very like, it was like I imagined him or something. And I had other stuff that I felt like I needed some help with, and he helped me. Like I had like lots of issues, like lots of things. And I just felt so much better afterwards. I was like, I need to learn this. So then I started, like, he was like my first mentor, and then I went to go and train with quite a few other people. And then I kept it secret because of people like Simon, because I thought in the corporate world, people like Simon are going to laugh me out. I'm going to lose like all my clients, all my corporate clients, because like, what is this woo-woo shit she's talking about now? I thought she was sensible. She's gone mad. She's turned into some sort of like hippie. So I didn't tell anyone for years. But so when I was working with some clients, I was like, I could tell if they would be sort of receptive to it. I said, do you want to try something? And then we'd just do it. And they're like, oh my God, yeah, that's work. And then
I don't think I could be hypnotized.
That's what everybody says.
I mean, I'd be open to it, Shabnam, but I want you to do it on Doug first. Do it on Doug, right? And then if he goes like la, then I'm not doing it.
So this is one of the things that I always tell everybody, and this is like, because it's the misconception that, somebody makes you go into like a trance and you're going to be hypnotized, and you can't be hypnotized. You actually go into different states of hypnosis throughout the day, every single day. So when you're watching a film, if you get upset, you laugh, you cry, you get scared, that's self-hypnosis, because it's not real. They're actors on the TV, but there's a part of you, like your subconscious actually just looks at the pictures and thinks that they're real. And that's where the emotion comes from. That's hypnosis. When you're driving and you go from one place to the other and you don't remember all the places that you went, and you think, oh shit, I didn't even realize I was here already. That's hypnosis. That's all self-hypnosis. So everyone thinks like, oh, I can't be hypnotized. I can't. I used to be like, I'm so strong-willed. I felt like I had to prove this guy wrong. Like I was like, yeah, I'll go, but there's no way it's going to work, because like, I'm so strong-willed. There's no way I can be hypnotized. But that's bollocks, because literally we are always going through like hypnosis and different states of hypnosis throughout the day, and we do it to ourselves. But I am not going to be able to put you in a trance. I would just guide you into going into an altered state of consciousness. And hypnosis is just like a really focused, altered state. It's not like you're asleep, or, like those old films where it's like, oh, with your arms out and yes, master. Like I actually told somebody, I said, I remember where I got this whole image of what hypnotism was. It's like an old black and white Dracula film when I was a kid, where Dracula had done this. And, I remember like the graphics, like the winding sort of like, her eyes like going round and round. I thought that's what it was. I thought, yeah, you're giving your control over to somebody else. So that's just again, that's why I actually really love doing what I do, because it's also educating people about understanding how their own minds work more than anything else. It's not woo-woo stuff, it's actual science.
And how long would
Go ahead.
How long would a client typically work with you for?
Well, because of the stuff that I help with, I don't do. I mean, I used to work with people with all kinds of issues like anxiety and depression, and it would depend on what we're doing. But I've kind of managed to bring my program down to, when I call it program, literally my weekly sessions with them, that I don't need to do more than 8 sessions with somebody. And not all of them are hypnosis. Some of it's just very conversational stuff, but and it's just to help them to understand how their own mind works once we've done the hypnosis. So 8 weeks is normally what it takes. But certain things that happen can happen in one session, and that will make the change that, you know, they needed, and that's it.
By the way, speaking of understanding how your own mind works, I've always been very fascinated by it. There's lots of different schools of thought around how your mind works. And when you think about it, correct me if I'm wrong, I think most of what your mind does, you're unconscious to it. You know, you're only conscious to a very small part of your reality, right? You know, but the rest of it, your mind's operating without your help. You know, it's storing bits of information. You're not telling it where to go. You're not telling it to pump your heart. You're not telling it to digest your food. Your whole. I think people might be shocked by how much of your body operates without your conscious mind, right?
Absolutely.
And how much do you think your brain operates without you, if that makes sense?
And that's exactly what it is. And, you know, you mentioned like there's so many different schools of psychology, and, you know, different theories about how the mind works, and that's constantly changing. Like if you read something that Freud wrote in his time, people would be like, oh, well, yeah, but then there's this, like, you know, look at what Carl Jung's wrote, that completely contradicts this, and there's all these. But the person who I absolutely love, whose theories that, well, not theories, because he would actually not call them theories, and he's dead now. The guy I mentioned to you, Doug, Milton Erickson, who was like, and I'm surprised that a lot of Americans don't know about him, because he actually had so much to do with like psychology in America. But like everyone thought he was a bit of a nutter, you know, snake oil, all that kind of stuff, because he was an actual doctor. He was a psychiatrist. He trained as a psychiatrist, and he also had studied the mind, mainly because when he was 17 years old, he had polio and he became completely paralyzed from the head down. And through his own working of understanding his own mind, he actually ended up being able to walk again. I mean, later on in life, he also had like more issues, and I think he was bit by a dog, and he had some sort of a reaction to that, which made him become paralyzed again. Not paralyzed, but not being able to walk, and he was in a wheelchair. But in the time that he was not so able to move around, he studied people, and he would become very aware of just by the sound of somebody or how they're speaking, like really observing people. And he even said that one of the things he said is that human beings, you know, human beings have been human beings is just a human being, and they've been that for millions of years. And then you bring in these theories on how to like help somebody. And the thing that really, what really made me sort of resonate with what he teaches and all the stuff that I learned from studying his books and stuff is that he was saying that, you know, when you meet a client or you meet a person, what your interaction is still yet to be discovered. So how are you going to apply Freud's theory or Adler's theory or somebody else's theory to what's going to happen? Your interaction is still to be discovered. And that kind of really made sense to me. And a lot of people, when I tell them that, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But to me, it's always been, maybe it's the sort of rebellious nature I've had from childhood, where it's like, if you tell me it has to be done this way, I'm like, but why? Who says? Like, I refuse to get married, because it's like, why do I need someone else to tell me that I can be with him and we're a couple? Why can't we say we're married without signing something and somebody saying that's got to be that way? So I'm just like that. So for what somebody saying that you can help somebody without applying theories or taking them through like a blueprint or some kind of a modality that has to be done in steps, makes sense to me, because every single person you meet is going to be different, an individual. And if before I've even spoken to you, I have no fucking clue what your issue is or what it is. So how am I already going to come to you and say, well, I know how to help you, this is what we're going to do, because I don't know what your thing is yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think belief or understanding your client's beliefs is very important, you know, in terms of, I mean, in our business, we just don't deal with clients that are too difficult, you know, in our view, right? We've just got to that point where, you know, if it's too difficult or if we just don't vibe together, we just won't do it. And that might sound really arrogant, but it's actually that focus allows us to concentrate our efforts on the people that we do get on well with and are good for our business. And I think Doug has probably learnt that too. You know, Doug and I do share the same, you know, views on that. But I think it's understanding and the beliefs of the client first, which helps you just build that relationship.
Yeah, and I won't work with anyone firstly, I've got to like them. Like sometimes you just get a gut feeling.
You're never going to be able to work
something.
with Doug then. That's
I don't know.
Doug, you're screwed.
I saw him wink. That did
You're
it for
screwed,
me.
Doug. You're scred.
I was saying, Simon, I saw Doug wink. That did it for me. I was like, okay, there's potential there.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's like, you know, you got to have like some, especially the work that I do, it's one-to-one. It's really, you know, and this is why I'm not a therapist, is again, because during, you know, part of the regulations and when I was part of it, it was like, I'm breaking rules because I become friends with my clients because I don't want to talk to them like a client, like a patient or something. I get to know them as a person and they do me, and I'll tell them stuff about myself as well as them being able to tell me whatever. So there are, you know, the boundaries are very different from being a therapist and being something else. So for me, it's really important that I like the person, that we've got the right chemistry, and then they're not an asshole, because I'm not going to work with people who are going to be rude. I've had that before, where somebody's paid me a lot of money and they think that they
time is out of the equation.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Simon even needs like my help. Maybe, like, you know, even I couldn't get him a date with a superwoman. A supermodel.
I'm beyond help, Shabnam.
That's what I'm saying. So even I couldn't get you a date with a supermodel. I know that's what you said. That would be the only thing that you would want help with. So
I'm ready. Don't you worry. When you have that course, I'll take 10. Sign me up. Okay.
Well, that's the thing. You see that, you know, when you said like you're beyond help, this is the whole point of like the work that I do. It's just like LinkedIn is just such a weird world. You have to have like a certain kind of a headline and you have to talk in a certain way. What I do isn't about money. It's not about helping somebody with their business. But if I tell them that it's about you getting to understand yourself and not being such a shit to yourself and talking crap to yourself and start actually believing yourself, then that sounds all wishy-washy and nobody's like really into it. It's like, I'm not into that. I want to make money. I want to do this. That's the stuff that sells. So that's what I'm selling. But then I get, you know, lure them in, and the next thing they're hugging themselves and looking in the mirror and saying, I love you, you know?
Doug actually seriously needs your help. So we'll talk about that. Can we... Can I?
You brought up something interesting. LinkedIn's a weird world.
Yeah.
Why? What makes it weird?
Oh God, where do I start? Like I said, I have like a really low tolerance for bullshit, and there's so much of it.
Yeah.
Which it's, you know, I expect that from Facebook, but then when I found out that it's the same on LinkedIn, it's just that LinkedIn likes to act like, you know, people on LinkedIn like, we're so much better than everybody on Facebook. Well, actually, no, you're not. You're exactly the same. You're just, you know, there's all these cliques, there's all this like, oh, I've got this many followers, and there's all this bullshit about I do this and I do that and everything. And at the end of the day, there's so much, like there are these rules that people make. And again, it's the whole thing about how I just don't like rules. Like, you must do this, you must engage this many times, you must post this many times, you must do this. It's like, bollocks to that. I'll do what I want and how I want. Right. And if that doesn't work, then I'll ask somebody who knows better. But I'm not going to listen to every single guru out there and every single LinkedIn coach on how to do things. Yeah. That's basically what I mean. It's a weird world.
But I agree, because I'm like that, Shabnam, because I'm just too busy, you know, and then you know, Doug will say, you haven't been on LinkedIn for like a week or 2 weeks, but it's like, I understand what you're saying, because we've got a business to run. Like, seriously, it's 24/7. It's relentless. It's, you know, coming out of the pandemic is just, I've never seen anything like it. But, you know, and I think that LinkedIn is a little bit friendlier. It's not as toxic as, say, Facebook. I hate Facebook. I mean,
I think I've heard so many people say that, and I think that all depends on, again, like any place, who you're connected to and who you're talking to. Because my community on Facebook, I love them. I've done more lives there, and I've had more clients from Facebook previously from last year because I started working
I had
more on
no
LinkedIn.
idea you were on Facebook. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
So I've been on Facebook for a couple of years. I had a group.
let's go and stalk her, Doug. Let's go stalk Shabnam on Facebook.
You can go
Let's do
because my profile's open, and what I've been doing this year, I haven't done as much as I have been previously because one time and two, LinkedIn's been better in terms of like I don't have to put so much in. Facebook, yeah, I have to put a lot more effort into because their algorithm's even worse than LinkedIn. It's like if you don't post all the time, and like you said, I did have personal stuff that happened over, since October last year to December. And then December, January, February, I was out of action on all social media. And so when I went back to Facebook after that, my first live I did, I had about 10 people. I was like, the fuck's happened here? People don't know who I am anymore. And it's just the algorithms, like, and it would take me, again, the whole year that it took me in the first place to build up my audience, to build up, like, the engagement to do that. Whereas LinkedIn, I figured out what worked before I went off. And it took me about a month or so to get back where all the people who I was engaging with and who were coming into my world on LinkedIn were back again. Whereas Facebook's been a nightmare to get the engagement. And I was like, oh, sod it. Every now and again, I had a rant, actually. I did a rant on a live a couple of weeks ago on Facebook. And that's a great place to do that. But it was just about, again, these like fake tosses you pretend to be all a certain way and not. And somebody had kind of wound me up, and I was like, but I did it not in a sweary, shouty. I did it in a really sort of like calm way because I don't get all ranty and noisy. But it was just nice to do that. And I was like, I just want LinkedIn to give me live because I want to do some of those over there as well because everybody's so polished and do these great productions, and there's no real there are some nice conversations, but they're always at times that I can't make it. So yeah, I don't think Facebook is so bad as people say. You've probably just got bad, you're just friends with toxic people, and that's why you've got toxic. You think it's more toxic. I've got some really great people that I've been friends with there.
Yeah, when you took a month off and you came back, you're absolutely right. LinkedIn's a little bit more forgiving when you take time away. Yeah. Because when you came back, you came right back up into my feed. And it was like you never left, for me personally. So that's a great thing. So I know we don't have much time left. What do you think is the key to your ability to get clients on LinkedIn? If you had to give a tip to anyone,
I think
wow. I mean, your videos are good. You're funny. You're engaging. You're witty. Your dog's a celebrity on there. I think you've got all the right stuff. But if you had to distill it to a tip for somebody who's coming onto LinkedIn, what would it be?
To get clients is don't spend your time talking about how great you are. Prove it by showing getting your clients to talk about how good you are. Because that's what, every time I've posted a client testimonial with a client telling, with a video or a screenshot from a client conversation, that's when I get the leads. Like everyone's like, oh, fuck, I want some of that. And that's how. It's not when I talk about, occasionally, and that's the other thing, is like I post what I feel like posting. So I understand the psychology of what's going to make me buy something. Like I want to see proof. That's me. So that's how I play it. So I show proof. That's what I would say would be the best way. And then always include your dogs every now and again because they're good for engagement.
So I've got one more favor to ask both of you, actually. It's a bit of a public service announcement or so Doug, remember yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before, Sarah posted something on LinkedIn? Remember Sarah? About her sort of struggle with depression, and she was yeah. And you motivated her to post this. So there's Shabnam, there's a person in our network who Doug and I have never met, we've never worked with. I hosted a clubhouse with her on something, and she's just a remarkable young person. And I just wanted all three of us to give a shout out to her, because she laid it out there. You know, she bared her soul on LinkedIn, and I admire her. I did that about 1.5 years ago, and it was, you know, I didn't think much of it, and I know it got a lot of reaction, and that wasn't the reason I did it. In fact, if you asked me now, I couldn't tell you why I did it. But I think that so Sarah.
Do you know what post he's talking about?
We'll send it to you. We'll send it to you, Shabnam, just so you can understand it. But I think that she would look up to you enormously, you know, and I think if there's if I could put you on the spot to say, if she reaches out to you, would you do us both, Doug and I, a favor and have a chat with her on the phone if she needed it or wanted it?
Sure,
and Doug, I know Doug and I will do that. And if there's a bill, please send it to Doug, you know, and make it big, you know, because he deserves it. Okay. So Sarah, Doug and Shabnam and I are here for you. And if you need anything, always just reach out to us.
Absolutely. Yeah, happy to do that. Reach out to me. Send me the post so that I can connect with Sarah, and then yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Well, I enjoyed this tremendously because we got to poke fun at Doug, and I want you to hypnotize him first, and then I'll do it. I don't believe a word of it, but I'll have a crack at it. Okay.
That's the thing. You don't have to believe a word of it at all, because that's the whole point. It's like, you don't have to believe it. You just have to listen to what I say, and then you'll just like end up doing stuff. Next thing I've
been listening to women my whole life. And doing what I'm told my whole life. So
you've already been hypnotized.
Exactly, like multiple thousands of times.
All right, well, we've got to go. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's been fantastic. I mean, I love your stuff. I hope you get more clients and more success coming your way. And anything we could do to help you, let us know, okay?
Thank you.
She's a rock star. How can we help her, Doug? She's a rock star. We can't do shit.
I don't know.
No, I really appreciate it. It's been so much fun, and I'll work on my Australian accent for next time.
No, please don't. It's all good. It's all good. Please don't. It's all good.
So thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Right. See you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.